The escape. The night was heavy with smoke and metal. The city never slept, but tonight it felt alive in a different way. Alarms echoed in the distance, sharp and cold, bouncing off the walls of the steel towers. Searchlights cut through the darkness, crawling across broken streets like hungry eyes. A young girl ran. Her bare feet slapped the wet ground, splashing through puddles that smelled of oil and rust. Her breathing was fast, ragged, and painful, but she did not slow down. She knew what was behind her. She had seen them before, the patrol drones, silver and silent, with red eyes that burned through shadows. They were hunting her. The girl turned sharply into a narrow alley. Pipes dripped from above and the air stank of chemicals. She pressed herself against the wall, trying to vanish into the dark. For a moment she thought she had lost them. For a moment hope flickered. But then she heard it. A mechanical buzz. The sound of wings that were not wings. The low hum of engines. The drones were close. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She couldn't run anymore. Her body shook from exhaustion. She needed to hide. She needed to disappear. That was when she saw it. A huge pile of trash at the end of the alley. Broken crates. Rusty cans. Torn plastic sheets. It smelled foul, like rot and smoke, but it was cover. She staggered toward it and pushed herself into the pile. Cold metal scraped her arms. Sharp edges tore at her skin. The trash swallowed her in filth. She pulled the broken sheets of plastic over her head, trying to bury herself deep. The girl pressed her face against her knees and whispered to herself. So quietly. It was almost nothing. I'm not garbage. I'm not garbage. The sound of machines grew louder. Red light spilled into the alley, scanning the ground, climbing the walls. She held her breath. Her whole body turned stiff. The trash shifted, her eyes widened. She wasn't alone. Something moved beside her. At first she thought it was a rat. But then in the darkness of the trash she saw eyes. Human eyes, small, bright, and focused on her. Before she could scream, a voice whispered, "You're not garbage." She froze. The voice was soft, almost too soft to believe, but it was clear. A boy's voice. Her heart pounded harder now. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to push away, but the machines were outside. The light was sweeping closer, and the trash around her was the only shield she had. The boy's small hand touched her arm. His skin was warm, alive. His face came into focus. He was tiny, half her size, maybe smaller, but human. A human boy. His clothes were torn, his hair messy, but his eyes were sharp with strange courage. "Don't move," he whispered. "They'll scan. If you move, they'll see." The girl didn't speak. She could hardly breathe. Outside, the red lights crept closer. One beam stopped just inches away. The trash glowed red for a second, as if it would catch fire. The girl's chest screamed for air, but she bit her lip shut. The boy didn't blink. His small hand stayed firm on her arm. And then, as suddenly as it came, the light slid away. The buzz of the drones faded, drifting past the alley, moving back toward the main street. The silence after was thick. The girl let out a shaky breath. She wanted to cry, to laugh, to scream all at once. But before she could, the boy leaned close again. "See? Trash saves lives." Her voice finally broke free, cracked and weak. "Who are you?" The boy tilted his head. For a moment he smiled. A small, tired smile. Someone who doesn't like garbage. Someone who doesn't like hunters either. The girl stared at him. 100 questions burned in her mind. Why was he here? Why was he so small? How did he know how to hide from the patrols? But none of the questions mattered right now. What mattered was that she was alive. She looked down at the ground, at the filth covering her skin. She was shivering from the cold, from fear, from the unknown. The boy still watched her with those sharp eyes, calm in a way that felt unnatural. Finally, she whispered, "I was running." "I know," the boy said softly. "I heard them. You're not safe here." "I'm never safe," she replied. The boy leaned closer. His voice dropped to almost nothing. "Then maybe you're like us." The girl blinked. "Us?" But before he could answer, the low hum of the drones returned in the distance. The boy grabbed her hand. His small fingers were strong. "Come on, before they come back. You don't want to die in the trash." The girl hesitated just for a second. She didn't know him. She didn't trust him. But she also knew one thing: if she stayed, she would be caught. So she let him pull her deeper into the shadows, deeper into the maze below the city, where even the hunters rarely went. Behind them, The trash pile sat silent, as if nothing had ever moved inside it, and in the night air above, the machines searched for prey they could not find. The mini boy appears. The girl's feet stumbled on the broken steps as the boy pulled her deeper into the darkness. The alley was gone now. They had entered a narrow shaft that led downward, steep and wet, like the throat of the city itself. Pipes hissed along the walls. Drops of water or maybe chemicals fell from above, striking the ground with sharp plinks. The boy did not slow. His small hand was firm, pulling her with surprising strength. His movements were fast, confident, like he knew every stone and shadow here. She wondered how long he had lived in this maze. Finally, the passage opened into a wide chamber. Rusted metal sheets leaned against each other, forming walls that looked ready to fall. The air smelled of smoke and something bitter. Faint light shone through cracks above, but most of the chamber glowed from weak lanterns built from scraps. The boy stopped and let go of her hand. He turned around. "Safe here," he said, his voice calm. "For now." The girl stared at him properly for the first time. He wasn't just short. He was small, smaller than any child she had ever seen. His arms were thin but wiry, his hands scarred. His face was narrow, with sharp cheekbones and a jaw too old for his young eyes. He couldn't be more than 12, but there was something about him that felt older. "You're human?" she asked. Her voice trembled with doubt. He gave a half smile, though it carried no joy. "What else would I be?" She stepped back, pressing against a wall of rusted metal. "But you're tiny." The boy's eyes narrowed as if the word had cut him. Small doesn't mean weak. The silence that followed was heavy. She wanted to apologize, but the words stuck in her throat. Instead, he walked over to a pile of junk near the wall. He pulled out a cracked water bottle and handed it to her. "Drink. You sound like your throat is fire." She hesitated, then took it. The water tasted like iron, but it eased the burning in her chest. The boy sat down on a crate, folding his arms across his knees. His eyes never left her, sharp and steady. Finally, he asked, "Why were they chasing you?" Her grip tightened on the bottle. She looked down. "Because I ran away." "Everyone runs away," he said. "That's not enough for patrols to send hunters." Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. The truth burned in her pocket, heavy as the crystal hidden there. She could not tell him yet. The boy tilted his head as if reading her silence. "Secrets," he muttered. "Always secrets." For a moment the chamber was quiet except for the dripping pipes. Then the girl found her courage to ask, "Why were you hiding in the trash?" His smile returned, faint but real this time. "Because hunters never look at garbage. They think we're worthless. That's how we live, are we?" she asked again. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood and walked to a narrow tunnel at the back of the chamber. He glanced over his shoulder. "Come, you'll see." Her legs ached, her body screamed for rest, but she followed. The tunnel was low and she had to crouch. The boy moved easily like a shadow. His bare feet made no sound on the stone. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, filled with the scent of smoke and cooking. At last, the tunnel opened into another chamber, larger this time, alive with movement. Her eyes widened. Children, dozens of them, small like the boy, some even smaller. Their clothes torn and patched, their faces dirty but bright with sharp eyes. They huddled around fires made from scrap wood. Some repaired broken tools. Others whispered stories in the corners. They all stopped when they saw her. The boy raised a hand. "She's with me," he said. His voice carried weight, and the children lowered their eyes, returning to their work. The girl's heart pounded. "All of you humans?" The boy nodded. "Humans, changed, survived," she swallowed hard. "Changed how?" The boy didn't answer right away. Instead, he picked up a piece of broken metal and turned it in his hands. His face was shadowed by the firelight. "They made us smaller," he said at last. "Long ago, experiments, easy to hide, easy to throw away." His eyes met hers. "But small doesn't mean broken. We learn to survive where others can't." The girl's throat tightened. She wanted to say something, but the words never came. She only whispered, "That's why you said—" "I'm not garbage." The boy's expression softened. "Because you're not. They may call you that, but they don't decide. You decide." Before she could answer, a sudden alarm echoed from the tunnels, a long, piercing sound that made every child stand up at once. The boy's eyes sharpened. "Hunters," he whispered. The chamber filled with panic. Children scrambled to grab weapons made of pipes and knives. Fires were stamped out. Lanterns shut off. The boy grabbed her hand again. His grip was stronger than before. "Stay with me," he said. "If they find you, it's not just your life. It's all of ours." The girl's chest froze. She didn't know what he meant, but she saw it in his eyes. The fear, the weight of something bigger than survival. And in that moment, as the sound of heavy footsteps echoed closer through the tunnel, she realized the truth. Her escape was not over. It had only begun. The hunter's shadow. The sound came first, low and metallic, like a beast breathing through steel lungs. The tunnel shook with each step. Dust drifted from the ceiling, and the fires in the chamber had already been stamped out. Every child froze. The girl's heart raced so hard she thought the hunters could hear it. Her hand trembled in the boy's grip. He pulled her closer, whispering into her ear, "Don't run. Running makes noise. Follow me." His words were calm, but his eyes burned with urgency. He led her through the crowd of small humans weaving between their tense bodies until they reached a narrow crack in the wall. It was hardly a doorway, just a slit of stone and metal. The boy slid through it with ease. The girl had to turn sideways and squeeze. Sharp edges tore at her arms, and for a terrifying second she thought she would get stuck. But then she burst through into a tiny dark space. It was a hollow behind the wall, barely large enough for the two of them. She crouched low, pressing her back against cold stone. The boy pressed a finger to his lips. Silence. Then, the shadow arrived. Through the crack, she saw it. The hunter stepped into the chamber. It was taller than any human, built of steel and dark armor. Its body was thin but strong, moving with fluid precision. Red eyes glowed across its helmet, scanning every corner. The children scattered into hiding spots. Some melted into cracks like the boy had. Others climbed up chains and pipes, holding their breath high above the ground. No one spoke. No one moved. The hunter's head turned slowly, its sensors pulsing. A beam of light shot out, sweeping across the chamber. Wherever the light touched, the shadows seemed to shrink. The girl's throat ached. Her lungs begged for air. She wanted to breathe, but even that felt too loud. The hunter stopped near the fire pit. Its long fingers reached down, brushing the ash, lifting it. Then with a hiss, it released the ash back to the ground. The boy leaned close, his lips almost touching her ear. "If it finds us, don't scream. Screaming feeds it." The girl's eyes widened. Feed it? What did that mean? But she didn't dare ask. The hunter turned again. The beam of light crept closer. It slid across the wall, across the crack, across their hiding space. The girl's body froze like stone. She felt the warmth of the beam on her cheek. Her thoughts spun. "It sees me, it knows I'm here," but the boy didn't move. His face was calm, his eyes sharp. His hand rested lightly on her arm, steadying her, and then the light passed. The hunter's head tilted, confused, as if the shadows played tricks on it. A low growl came from its chest, a sound that made her skin crawl. It turned away. The girl dared to breathe again, but the boy didn't. His focus never broke. The hunter walked toward the far side of the chamber, where a group of smaller tunnels led deeper into the underground. It paused, scanning again, then slowly stepped into the largest tunnel. The sound of its heavy feet echoed into the distance. For a moment, the chamber stayed frozen. Then, all at once, the children moved again, like water breaking through a dam. Whispers filled the air. Small hands reached for hidden weapons, checking blades, tightening straps. The boy finally exhaled. He looked at the girl. "We need to move." That was only one. Her stomach dropped. "Only one?" He nodded. "Hunters never hunt alone. Shadows follow shadows." The girl's chest tightened. If one hunter could silence an entire chamber, what would more do? The boy slid out of the crack and pulled her with him. He didn't take her back to the crowd. Instead, he chose a side tunnel, one darker and narrower than the rest. She whispered, "Where are we going?" He whispered back, "Away from where they expect. Hunters follow patterns. We break patterns." The tunnel sloped downward. The air grew thicker, damp with mold and dust. She could barely see, but the boy never slowed. His small figure moved like he belonged here. Finally, the tunnel widened into another hollow space. This one was empty, save for broken machines scattered like skeletons. Rusted arms, gears, and wires lay in piles. The boy crouched and listened. The girl knelt beside him. "What are we doing here?" He tapped one of the machines. "Listening. Machines remember." She didn't understand, but before she could ask, a sound drifted from the tunnel above. Clang, clang, clang. The footsteps were back, closer this time. More than one. The boy's jaw tightened. He turned to her, whispering fast. Listen, if they find us, you run. You don't stop no matter what. Her heart twisted. What about you? His eyes glowed faint in the dark. I'm smaller. Harder to catch. She shook her head. I can't just... Quiet. He grabbed her hand. Shadows don't forgive noise. The sound of hunters grew louder. She pressed close to him, every nerve in her body screaming. Then from the dark above, the glow of red eyes spilled into the chamber. They weren't alone anymore. The hidden world. The red glow from above lingered in the girl's mind long after the hunters had passed. Their steps had faded into the tunnels, but the fear remained heavy in her chest. The boy did not waste time. He pulled her away from the broken machines and led her deeper. His grip was steady, and though his hand was small, it felt like the only thing keeping her from falling apart. They walked for what felt like forever. The tunnel twisted and dropped, carrying them farther beneath the city. The air changed. It grew warmer, alive with faint vibrations. Somewhere ahead there was sound, faint voices, distant echoes of life. Finally the tunnel widened. The girl stopped in her tracks. Her eyes grew wide. Before her stretched a hidden world. It wasn't just one chamber. It was an entire network of caverns, carved from stone and patched with steel. Ladders made from scrap wood stretched high, connecting platforms nailed into the walls. Small bridges of rope and planks crossed from one side to another. Fires glowed in pits, casting light over faces, dozens, maybe hundreds of small humans. They were everywhere. Some repaired tools. Some cooked thin soup in rusty pots. Others sat in groups, whispering, their voices carrying soft and secret songs. Children chased each other through the narrow bridges, laughter mixed with smoke. The girl had never seen anything like it. The boy noticed her silence. His mouth curved into the faintest smile. This is us, he said. This is where we live. She took a step forward, her heart still racing, but this time with wonder instead of fear. All of you humans? The boy nodded. Humans. Changed. Hidden. Survivors. She turned in a slow circle, trying to take in the sight. How do you live here? Same way you live up there, he answered. We eat, we hide, we fight. Just smaller. Her eyes landed on one group of children working together to lift a heavy metal plate. Their bodies were small, but their movements were clever, their teamwork perfect. Another group tinkered with scraps of old machines, shaping them into tools and weapons. Their hands were fast, their eyes sharp. The girl whispered, You're like an army. The boy's smile faded. Not an army, a family. Armies break. Families bend, but we don't break. She felt a lump in her throat. These children had nothing. No home, no comfort, no safety. Yet they had built a world in the dark. They walked across one of the shaky bridges. Below them, water glistened, black and endless. Above, smoke curled toward the ceiling where cracks leaked faint starlight from the city above. As they crossed, some of the small humans stared at her. Their eyes were sharp, suspicious. She wasn't like them. She was taller, bigger, and new. Why are they looking at me like that? She whispered. They don't trust you yet, the boy said. Trust is expensive down here. Her chest tightened. She wanted to say she wasn't a threat, but she knew words meant little. Only actions mattered. The boy led her to a platform at the far end of the cavern. A fire burned low there, and around it sat several older children, still small, but their faces were harder, marked with scars and wisdom beyond their years. One of them, a boy with a twisted arm and sharp eyes, stood. His gaze cut into her like a blade. You brought someone new, he said to the mini-boy. His voice was calm but heavy. Why? The boy did not flinch. She was hunted. Like us. The older child's eyes narrowed. Being hunted doesn't make her one of us. The girl felt heat rise in her face. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but the mini-boy raised a hand. She's different, he said, and she carries something. The older children looked at her now, their stares sharp and unblinking. She felt her pocket grow heavy, the hidden crystal burning against her skin. She wrapped her hand around it through the fabric. I can't tell them, she whispered. The mini-boy leaned closer. Not yet, but soon. If you want them to trust you, they need to know why you matter. Before she could answer, a sound echoed across the cavern, a horn made from twisted metal. Every child stopped. Fires dimmed. Conversations died. The twisted arm boy stood tall. Scouts report movement, he said. his voice carried across the chamber. Hunters above, searching. The cavern shifted into silent action. Small humans grabbed weapons. Nets were rolled up. Fires were smothered. The girl's chest tightened. They'll find us. The mini-boy's eyes glimmered. Not if we find them first. Her breath caught. You fight them? He nodded. We don't just hide. We strike from shadows. We remind them, garbage bites back. The word sent a chill through her. These weren't helpless children. They were survivors, fighters, hunters of their own. The mini-boy touched her hand again. Stay close. You'll see the hidden world's teeth. And before she could protest, the cavern filled with the sound of hundreds of small feet moving into tunnels, carrying firelight and shadows with them. The girl stood at the edge of the platform, her heart torn between awe and fear. She thought she had found safety, but now she saw the truth. Safety here was sharp, dangerous, and built on war. The truth about her. The cavern buzzed with movement long after the horn had sounded. Small humans vanished into side tunnels carrying sharpened pipes, nets made from wires and scraps of tech strapped to their backs. The girl stood among them, frozen, unsure if she was part of this world or just a shadow passing through it. The mini-boy never let go of her hand. His grip was steady, firm like an anchor in the storm. He pulled her toward the back of the cavern, away from the fighters. She followed, her mind spinning with questions she was too afraid to ask. Finally, he stopped inside a hollow chamber lit by a single lantern. The glow painted the walls in gold and black, and the space was quiet compared to the noise outside. The boy sat cross-legged on the ground and looked up at her. Now, he said, "Tell me why they're hunting you." Her chest tightened. She shook her head. "You wouldn't believe me." His eyes narrowed. "I believed you weren't garbage when I found you." Belief goes both ways. His words sank into her like stones. She lowered herself onto the ground, hugging her knees. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then slowly, she reached into her pocket. Her fingers brushed the smooth surface of the crystal. It was small, no larger than a stone, but it pulsed faintly with blue light alive in her hand. When she pulled it out, the lantern's glow dimmed against its strange shimmer. The boy's eyes widened. "What is that?" She held it tight, as if the shadows would steal it if she loosened her grip. "It's a map," she whispered. "A map to something old. Something human." The boy leaned closer, his small frame tense. "Old, like before the war?" She nodded. "Before they took the skies. Before they called us garbage." The boy's breath caught. "What does it lead to?" Her voice cracked, soft but steady. "A ship, a real ship, buried under the sands beyond the city. They say it was the last ship humans ever built before the fall." The boy's face changed. Awe, fear, hope, all tangled together. "Why you?" he asked. She looked away. "Because my father," he was one of the last who knew about it. "Before they took him." "Before they," her voice broke. She pressed the crystal to her chest. "He gave this to me. Said never let them find it. Said if I could reach the ship, maybe humans could rise again." Silence filled the chamber. The boy's eyes shone in the crystal's glow, reflecting the weight of her words. At last, he whispered, "You're carrying more than yourself. You're carrying all of us." Her throat ached. "That's why they're hunting me. If they destroy this, it's over. No hope. Nothing left." The boy stood suddenly and paced in the small room. His hands trembled, but his voice was sharp. "We have to keep it safe. Hunters will smell it, even through walls. They don't just chase, they erase. If they learn about this ship, they'll bury it forever." Her heart pounded. "Then what do we do?" He stopped and looked at her. His face was young, but his eyes were steel. "We don't hide anymore, we move. We take you to the ship," the girl gasped. "Through the city? Through hunters?" He nodded. "Through everything. Because if what you carry is real, it changes the world." Her hands shook. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe in hope, but fear clawed at her. "And if it's not real? If it's just a story?" The boy's jaw tightened. "Then we die chasing it. Better than dying as garbage." Before she could answer, a voice cut through the chamber. "She tells the truth." Both of them spun around. From the shadows stepped the older child with the twisted arm, the one who had challenged her earlier. His sharp eyes glowed in the lantern's dim light. The girl's stomach dropped. How long had he been listening? The boy tensed. "You followed us." The older child stepped closer, his limp clear but his posture strong. "I had to. Too many lies float in the dark. But this..." His gaze locked on the crystal in her hand. This is no lie. The girl clutched it tighter, but he did not reach for it. Instead, his voice dropped low. If she carries a map to the last ship, then she carries the last chance. The hunters won't just kill her. They'll kill us all to stop it. The boy stood firm, his small frame between her and the twisted-arm child. So what, you want to throw her out? Let them take her? The older child's lips curled into something like a smile, though there was no joy in it. No, I want to see if she's strong enough. Strong enough to lead shadows into light. The girl swallowed hard. Her hands trembled. She had never wanted to lead anyone. She had only wanted to run, to survive. But now their eyes were on her. The mini-boy's sharp and steady, the twisted-arm child's piercing and cold. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Never let them take it. If you can reach the ship, everything changes. She looked down at the crystal, its faint blue glow warming her palm. For the first time, she felt its weight not as a burden but as a call. She raised her eyes. Her voice was soft, but it did not shake. Then we go to the ship. The chamber fell silent, as if even the walls were listening. And in the distance, deep in the tunnels, the sound of hunters returned, slow, steady, patient. The shadow was still coming. The betrayal or the ally, the cavern, had gone quiet after her words. The girl's promise to reach the ship had settled over the children like smoke. Some eyes lit with hope, others darkened with doubt. The twisted-arm boy studied her for a long time, his sharp gaze testing every flicker of her face. At last he nodded slowly. Then we move. But know this, hope cuts both ways. It can save, or it can destroy. The mini-boy stood beside her, his chest lifted in defiance. She's not alone. I'll take her. The older child gave him a look that was half pity, half respect. You always were too quick to trust. Murmurs rippled through the cavern. The small humans gathered in clusters, whispering. Some pointed at the girl. Some shook their heads. The girl's throat tightened. She could feel the weight of their judgment. She had never wanted to lead anyone. Now every step she took would pull all of them into danger. The mini-boy leaned close. Don't show fear. They smell it. She nodded, though her stomach nodded. A sound split the air, the echo of metal striking stone. Alarms rose again, short and sharp. Scouts burst into the chamber, their tiny bodies slick with sweat. Hunters! One cried. Closer this time. The crowd broke into noise. Some grabbed weapons. Others shouted plans. A few children looked at her, their eyes cold with suspicion. One voice cut through the chaos. She's the reason they're here. The girl spun toward the sound. A boy with a scar across his cheek stepped from the shadows. His face twisted with anger. They were never this close before she came. She brought them to us, no. The mini-boy stepped forward. His voice was strong despite his size. They hunt everyone, always, you know this. But the scarred boy's words had already spread like fire. Dozens of eyes turned back to her. Sharp eyes. Doubtful eyes. The girl clutched the crystal in her pocket, her chest heaving. I didn't. Lies, the scarred boy hissed. That glow in her hand calls to them. She's a beacon. She'll kill us all. The crowd roared with whispers. Some nodded. Some shook their heads. The cavern trembled with fear and mistrust. The twisted-arm boy raised his hand. Silence fell. His voice was calm, but every word cut deep. If she carries danger, then we must choose. Do we keep her, or cast her out? The girl's heart stopped. Cast her out, into the tunnels where hunters waited. The mini-boy shouted, You can't. Without her, the ship stays lost. Without her, nothing changes. The twisted-arm boy studied the girl. His sharp eyes softened just enough to show thought, not anger. Perhaps. Or perhaps this is all a lie to trick us into risk we cannot afford. Her hands trembled. She wanted to scream, to tell them everything her father had told her. But the words stuck. Would they even believe her? The cavern filled with silence again. The weight of the choice pressed on every face. Then the older child spoke again, his voice firm. There is only one way to know. We test her. Test? The mini-boy repeated, wary. The twisted-armed child nodded. The hunters move closer. One patrol enters the tunnels now. If she is what she claims, if she carries more than fear, then let her stand with us against them. Gasps rippled. Some nodded with approval. Others frowned. The girl's chest tightened. You want me to fight? The twisted-arm boy's gaze was steady. If you can't fight for yourself, how will you fight for all of us? How will you reach the ship? The scarred boy grinned, cruel and sharp. Let the hunters taste her first. The mini boy's eyes burned with anger. He stepped in front of her, small but fierce. You're cowards hiding behind tests. She doesn't need to prove anything. I saw her courage already, but even his voice couldn't change the tide. The decision had been made. The girl would face the hunters or she would be cast out, her hands clenched tight around the crystal. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Never let them take it. Reach the ship. Everything changes. Her fear didn't vanish, but something heavier settled over it. Resolve. She lifted her chin. Her voice shook, but it carried. I'll do it. I'll stand with you. The cavern stirred with surprise. Even the scarred boy's grin faltered. The twisted-armed child nodded once, solemn. Then we see the truth. Tonight the shadows will decide if you are ally or death. The crowd scattered into motion. Weapons were lifted. Nets were spread. Small bodies slipped into tunnels like streams of water. The air filled with smoke, oil, and fear. The mini-boy grabbed her hand again, squeezing tight. His voice was low, urgent. Don't listen to them. You're not garbage. You're more than they know. Just stay with me. Her throat tightened, but she nodded. From the tunnels above, the sound of hunters grew louder. Heavy steps, claws scraping stone. Voices of machines echoing through the dark. The girl stood at the edge of the platform, her heart hammering. She was no longer just running for herself. The eyes of the hidden world were on her. The crystal burned in her pocket like a heart outside her chest. The twisted arm boy raised his arm. Prepare. The hunter's shadows spilled across the walls, and the girl understood tonight she would either earn their trust or lose everything. The beginning of resistance. The tunnels shook with every step of the hunters. The sound rolled like thunder through stone, louder and closer with each passing second. Dust rained from the ceiling. Fires had been put out, but the air still carried the sharp tang of smoke and fear. The girl stood among the hidden children, her legs trembling, her heart pounding like a drum that refused to stop. The mini-boy was at her side, his small hand gripping hers tightly. His voice was low, steady, and meant only for her. Don't think of them as monsters, he whispered. Think of them as shadows. Shadows can be broken. She swallowed hard. Her mouth was dry, her body cold despite the heat of bodies crowding the cavern. She had never fought before, not like this. Running, yes. Hiding always. But fighting? That was something else. The twisted arm boy stepped forward, raising his good arm to silence the whispers. His eyes scanned the crowd, then fell on her. This is the moment, he said, voice strong, carrying through the chamber. They come for us as they always have. But tonight we do not scatter. Tonight we bite back. Tonight we see if she carries more than fear. Dozens of small faces turned toward her, some doubtful, some hopeful, all expectant. The weight of their stares pressed heavy on her shoulders. The sound of hunters filled the main tunnel now, sharp claws scraping, engines humming, red lights cutting through the dark. The twisted arm boy pointed toward the tunnel entrance. Positions! The small humans scattered into motion with silent precision. Nets were stretched across high beams. Oil was poured onto the ground. Blades of sharpened scrap were planted into cracks, ready to spring. The girl stood frozen, unsure where to go, until the mini-boy tugged her forward. With me. They crouched behind a wall of broken crates near the entrance. The mini-boy slipped a sharpened metal rod into her hand. It was heavy, rough, jagged at the edges. Don't throw it, he whispered. Hold it, push when close, hard, aim for joints. Metal bleeds where it bends. She nodded shakily, clutching the weapon. Her father's crystal pulsed faintly in her pocket, as if alive. The cavern went silent. Then the hunters arrived. The first stepped into the chamber, a tall, thin machine draped in black steel, its glowing red eyes sweeping the shadows. Behind it, two more followed, their steps shaking the ground. Their bodies were part metal, part flesh, twisted together in ways that made her stomach turn. The scarred boy whispered from his hiding place, his voice bitter but sharp. Now! The trap was sprung. From above, nets dropped heavy with chains and hooks. The hunters snarled in mechanical voices, thrashing as the nets tightened around their limbs. Children leapt from platforms, stabbing with sharpened pipes, screaming war cries that echoed through the cavern. The girl's heart raced. She pressed against the crates, watching chaos unfold. Sparks flew where blades struck metal. Oil ignited in flames, casting the cavern in fiery light. Shadows danced wild across the walls. The mini boy's eyes locked on her. Now it's us, move. Before she could argue, he darted forward. She followed, her legs shaky but fueled by something stronger than fear. One of the hunters broke free of the net, swinging its massive arm. Children scattered as the blow smashed a wall, sending stone flying. The mini boy slid under its legs, stabbing at the joints. Sparks burst. The hunter roared in static. The girl raised her rod high, then thrust it forward with all her strength. The jagged edge pierced the softer metal at the hunter's side. A scream of grinding gears filled the cavern as the machine staggered. She yanked the weapon free, her arms burning. For a moment she froze, then realized she had drawn blood in her own way. The mini boy grinned fiercely. See, not garbage, but the fight was far from over. Another hunter charged through the flames, breaking nets, ignoring knives. Its red eyes locked on the girl, glowing brighter, sharper. She stumbled back, fear gripping her throat. Her hand closed over the crystal in her pocket. It pulsed harder, glowing through the fabric. The hunter hesitated, its head tilted as if listening to the crystal's silent song. Then it roared, louder than before, shaking the entire cavern. The twisted arm boy shouted, "It knows! It knows she carries something." Panic rippled through the children. Their traps were holding, but barely. One mistake, one crack, and the hunters would break through. The girl clutched the crystal, her voice shaking. "It's me. It's after me. If I stay, it'll kill everyone." The mini boy grabbed her shoulders, his eyes blazing. "No, if you run alone, they'll still find you. If you stay with us, we fight together." Tears burned her eyes. "What if I can't do it?" He pressed his forehead to hers, a strange gesture of trust. "Then we all fall. But at least we fall fighting." Before she could answer, the hunter lunged. The scarred boy leapt in front of her, pipe raised high. The blow sent him flying across the cavern, his body crashing against stone. He didn't rise, the girl screamed. Rage surged in her chest. She pulled the crystal from her pocket, holding it high. The blue light flared brighter than ever before, flooding the cavern. The hunters stopped. Their red eyes flickered. Their bodies trembled as if the light was burning through them. The children stared in awe. The twisted arm boy shouted, "It's real!" "The ship is real. That crystal calls to them because its power." The girl's hand shook, the crystal glowing so bright it hurt her eyes. The hunter staggered, retreating a step, but not gone. "Not yet." The mini boy raised his weapon high, voice fierce. "Then we fight for her. We fight for the ship. We fight for all of us." The cavern exploded with cries of defiance as the children surged forward. The hunters roared, pushing back against the light. The battle shook the underground, and at the edge of the cavern, hidden in the shadows, another figure watched. Not machine. Not child. Something else. It smiled and whispered into the dark. The beginning.